When you're talking about the billing capability that you've been through, where is that hitting the organizations? Where are the conversations that you're bringing in? Is it, customers saying, we've got to be in the cloud, so here's my, billing, I need it in the cloud. Where's the conversation initiated? Is it operationally? Is it, through the line of business? Give us a bit more depth to that one, please.
You will be surprised when I say this, but currently 90% of these conversations are happening in CFO office, right? It's not operations, it's not technology. The CFO office wants the revenue, they want it faster. There's not enough patience in the ecosystem. So 80% of my opportunities or discussions are happening within the CFO office. And which is, because for them, the whole monolithical application, disparate stuff is sort of a roadblock in their targets, right? So when they talk to us, they say, Akshay, it doesn't matter, right? I want it fast, and if cloud is the option, let's go there.
What are you seeing in terms of the customer? Where do they start, right? So if we leave here today and say, I want to go some billing, what's the impact on the rest of their business? Is there a timeline these guys need to look at, or a progression they need to look at? What's the capability?
Well, I think it used to be that I think what you've heard today is from both Roy and Akshaya is that the cloud is now being used for all types of applications, and the problems or challenges around security, data privacy have been solved. I think the challenge for all organizations is how to begin that journey.
Right.
And I think there's two parts. One is you've heard about the trust element, whereby we're now relying on a third party to manage my data, manage my operations. So there's a big cultural barrier often within large companies to actually taking that leap. And then there's the technology aspect. And you heard people talk about the constraints, if you like, of the legacy applications, and how can I break that legacy footprint apart and do a progressive transformation to the cloud, which means finding the right pieces to move and sequencing them. And it's often around the edges, right? So if we think about progressive transformation programs on premise,
right,
the easiest place to start is on the edges. It's either the downstream systems or the upstream systems. And I don't think it's really any different in the cloud. If we look at, say, the origination process, which is obviously on the front end. If we look at the claims process, which is on the back end, these I would suggest are the right places to start. And there are also, in the case of billing and let's say pricing, there's opportunities to carve out pieces from your legacy systems and actually leverage the cloud.
How are customers going to get advice about moving to that new world? What are you seeing in the conversations you're having with the customers?
Start small and then expand, because that single point where you start does the proof. Once you prove the system in the ecosystem, cloud is proven, system is proven, then the journey becomes better. So one thing that I'm seeing is, instead of trying to start big, right, start with smaller proof points.
From the user community of your services, is there more trust? Are they more comfortable with the cloud technologies today than they were before?
I think that trust is growing, and a lot of it has to do with, as you're saying, really picking the projects that you're going to put to the cloud. I mean, moving a claims processing system to the cloud is sort of like, why? Right? Why would you do that? Really, so the risk is quite high. But we've had some projects, for example, machine learning, that we have a new technology, machine learning, a new concept, which was to try and take patients who had, for example, had a hip replacement, and then they go to a skilled nursing facility. And those referrals to skilled nursing facilities are typically done just from a list of skilled nursing facilities. But not everyone is really the best one for you. And so how could we use data and machine learning to better, let's say, get patients into the right skilled nursing facility? So that's just an example of you can focus in on a particular area. Now the data for that project all exists in the cloud. The analytics are in the cloud. But what the business folks and the clinicians can see is success, right? They see the results of that, and that sort of helps overcome concerns that they might have about the cloud.
Thanks. What's the sense you're getting in conversing with customers on the cloud? Are we in different timescales, different timelines? What's the impact there on their business?
So it's almost impossible to put a timeline on what it takes, right? So I think we've got to look at it through kind of different lenses.
Right.
So, and we've not really talked a lot about the benefits of the cloud, but the velocity is one of the key benefits. And so in terms of the provisioning aspects and the startup, that's where we can really change the game, right? Because we're now we can get the servers up and running, we can get the network established, we can get all the security and other things already, put in place, and we can do that in a matter of hours or days. I mean, we're probably, I would say we're on that journey whereby it's kind of days and weeks
right
now,
right,
versus maybe 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and we can spin up new instances of the environment quickly, but we're progressing towards where we can provision in minutes.
Right.
And that's our goal from a technology perspective. So certainly the velocity is important, but then I think when it comes to the timeline of the overall implementation, a lot depends upon what you're trying to do. If you don't have legacy constraints, and let's say you're starting a new bank, then it can be up and running very quickly. But if we've got to think about how do we migrate data, how do we, quality assure that data, ensure that we've migrated it correctly, then that adds its own timeline, and that's kind of outside of the control.
So it's still the project dynamic, but with different.
But even in that arena, in the cloud, everything is automated. We eliminate all of the manual steps. So all of our code, all of our testing, all of our data migration tooling, all fully automated. So it's all about velocity.